those individuals, but also for, oh, there we go. Not only is that a good thing for those individuals, but that's a good thing for everybody in the community. And then in the state of Wisconsin, we've got about 11% of our folks that live in poverty, and that can change depending on the region. So like in Milwaukee, that goes up to about 26%. And for folks with the disabilities, that number varies depending on how we're defining disabilities, but that can go up as far as about 300,000 individuals. And those folks, you know, with some adaptive technology or an accommodation, really can be some of the most loyal and dedicated employees that an employer will ever have. So we look at these underutilized groups as some immediate relief to the labor shortage and some of the best strategies that we have in our state and that we are connected to currently at DWD to help employers with some of those vacancy issues that they have. So right now, we have job centers all around the state. And I think you all are probably familiar with our workforce development boards, right? There's 11 different workforce development areas. We have job centers in each of those areas. But what you may not be familiar with is each of those job centers has an integrated business service team. And each of those teams has individuals that can connect businesses directly with qualified talent pools today and help businesses connect with folks, help screen for job openings that you may have with current, ready, willing, and able individuals that can work. We can help with job postings. We can help with recruitments. We can help with job fairs. We can help set up internships. We can help with registered apprenticeships. We can help with labor market information. We can help with veteran services. We can help with that adaptive technology. We can help in so many different ways with employers to build that diversified talent pool that we kind of have ready and able and willing, and really could, you know, answer that call for some of those vacancies that employers are really having a hard time. We also have training available that we can help with some of those skills that you may need. You know, if you have skills that you're not able to find in the community, we can coordinate with that training with groups of folks that need employment and really coordinate that and make sure we can get upskilling and matching done so that we are able to connect, you know, opportunities with job seekers and vice versa. So again, at each area, and we did pass on for your local Dane County resource, you've got your team. We passed on all of the contact information for each member of that team, and so that you have your youth apprenticeship contact, we've got a navigator contact, we've got a veteran services contact, we've got a division of vocational rehab services contact. And you just have to go to the one business services team rep and they will do sort of that coordination so that you've got one customer service person. They will do that coordination with all of those technical experts and be able to help, you know, navigate those services. And so I know we passed that on, and I'm not quite sure the contact on your end that has that. I think is it Kim is the name? But that information has been passed on, so hopefully it's been emailed out so that you all will have that. I see you coming up.
We will send a follow-up email to everybody who registered with that information.
Yes, I'm sorry, Kate Miller is the individual who's got that. So just want to make sure that gets passed on because, you know, we did do a survey statewide about how many small business owners and employers were aware of these services, which have existed prior to the pandemic and of course exists now. And the results were not many. Not many employers were aware that they existed. But I think now, as the labor shortage issues come to a head and are felt throughout this state, we are doing our best to market this and to really get the word out about services that are here to assist businesses, and of course to assist job seekers as well. It's a two-way street. And so all of this is good for our economy and our ability to match as best as possible these opportunities. So wanted to make sure we pass on that information. And here are the names right here, where you'll, again, this information will be passed on in an email, so you'll have it, your business contacts. And then I did want to make sure I got to this additional information because this is very timely. So 2 weeks ago, Governor Evers announced a huge, unprecedented investment in workforce and economic development, across the state. And this is through the American Rescue Plan Act grant initiatives. And this is in total $130 million in investing for businesses and workforce issues that have been exacerbated by the pandemic. So we know, again, workforce issues, shortages, businesses are having a hard time filling these vacancies. And we know that there are workers that are having a hard time re-engaging in the workforce due to barriers that have nothing to do with their sort of lack of desire to re-engage in the labor force, but rather other issues such as lack of childcare, lack of transportation, lack of affordable housing, lack of infrastructure such as broadband to participate in remote work or other infrastructure. And so these are really big systemic issues that we need to invest in to ensure that we can kind of move the needle and re-engage some of these folks that have, again, been disproportionately impacted throughout the pandemic, and really help some small businesses and some of these job seekers overcome some of these issues that we have all experienced in the past 18 months. So the first grant is a $100 million investment, and it's called the Workforce Innovation Grant. And what we are doing is looking for regional collaboration between nonprofits, educational institutions, employers. Pretty much, we're just looking for collaboration. This could be through local government, and just to solve some of these larger systemic issues that I mentioned. Childcare is a big one, and do a regional investment in either a shovel-ready project to fill a childcare desert in an area that then would allow folks to have that childcare subsidy, have that childcare location so that they could re-enter the workforce, or perhaps it's a broadband investment, or perhaps it's a transportation investment, whatever that regional or economic need is to help the workforce in that area. Those grants can be up to $10 million each. So, but they don't have to be that high. If there's a need less than 10 million, certainly we are encouraging folks to apply and really have that big economic investment in helping that region. The next grant announcement that the governor made was the Worker Advancement Initiative, and we are super excited about this. This is a $20 million investment that was going to the workforce boards across the state. And this is basically a subsidized employment initiative, so sort of transitional jobs, modeled after the very successful transitional jobs initiative right now at DWD, our Hires Hero program for veterans returning from service. Also, you may be familiar with transitional jobs through the Department of Children and Families, but there are really no eligibility requirements around this. We really want it to be open to anyone who is trying to re-enter the workforce. And what it does is allows folks who are, again, seeking employment to be employed through the workforce boards and their employer partners, and be able to be placed subsidized immediately with an employer who's looking to, have subsidized employment, and those job seekers are able to get those on-the-job training, those skills, that immediate sort of resume building recognition, and that employer is able to get that immediate help subsidized through this program. So we're really excited about that. And then last but certainly not least is a $10 million investment in the Worker Connection Program, which again gets at this holistic approach of really helping workers get back into the labor market by helping them holistically overcome any of the barriers that are preventing them from re-engaging, such as transportation, childcare, housing. We know that there are lots of programs in communities that will help assist them with, getting food on the table, or, helping watch, children with subsidies or transportation. But it's not often that somebody knows how to navigate all of those different programs or even knows about them. So we're going to have a coach that will help somebody connect the dots for all of those different areas and programs, and then really hold that individual accountable, coaching them sort of one-on-one to be able to be successful, and make sure that they're showing up every day and kind of getting them back into the game. So again, $130 million, sort of unprecedented investment to really help workforce and economic issues in our state. So happy to take any questions on these or anything that I covered in my presentation.
We did have one question come through in chat. Will the 130 million in funds be distributed through the workforce boards?
So the $20 million Worker Advancement Initiative is going to be distributed through the workforce boards. The $10 million Worker Connection Pilot Program is distributed through DWD by working directly with job seekers in the community. And the $100 million grant, that application will be out in a few weeks, and that will be distributed through a competitive application process and a panel that is going to be jointly reviewed by the Department of Workforce Development, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and the Department of Administration. So we would encourage, if you have an idea for the Middleton area and want to apply, the application should be online in the next week or two. Certainly would encourage you to apply, and the grant process will be online, and those awards should be made. I think our timeline is we're looking at October-ish.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the group for Amy? That was a lot of really good information. I know there's probably, looking forward and looking how we can address this holistically is one thing for businesses who are struggling today to find workforce. And I'm sure it depends on the different industries, but from the time that you're aware of the need to the time that you're able to place somebody that could fill that need, what does that look like for you, Amy?
Yeah, so we have about 90,000 resumes right now on Job Center Wisconsin. So again, depending on, those are all across the state, different areas, different skills, but that's why I would really encourage businesses that are looking to fill a need to reach out to the business service team. And those are those handouts and those names, because we have folks right now who are seeking employment. And so we want to make those matches. So depending on the skills you need and the qualifications, I'm hopeful we can make those connections ASAP.
Great, thank you. Okay, while Dr. Anthony gets, I will share a little bit about his background. Dr. Anthony has been president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison since March of 2015. In the time he has been with the Urban League of Greater Madison, they have increased their job placements by 39% and have made over 1,400 placements to date. Over the past 30 years, Ruben has been a senior manager in public, private, and nonprofit sectors. He is subject matter expert in developing job placement strategies and in minority business development. The majority of his career has been as a manager with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, where he started as a first-line supervisor and eventually became the deputy secretary and the chief operations officer from 2003 to 2010. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Dr. Anthony.
Well, first, thank you all for inviting me here to speak today, and thank Secretary Poachek for that brilliant presentation. And I also like to thank her for giving us a Fast Forward grant this year for almost $3,000 for a partnership with Exact Sciences, which we just graduated 17 individuals from that program 2 weeks ago, and now we have about a 95% placement rate with Exact Sciences. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for that, and I look forward to working with you on some of these other grants. So as it was mentioned, the Urban League plays a lot of attention to workforce and a lot of time in putting people into jobs. But today I'm going to have a different presentation for you. I want to talk about the minority business development space in the wealth building space. But towards the end, I'll talk about how this relates to jobs. And so here in Madison, if you've lived in Madison or the surrounding areas, you know that South Madison, if there is any place that could be called an African-American ethnic area, South Madison would be that place. And so there is a lot going on in South Madison right now that is really challenging, you know, how South Madison looks and what the future holds. I think South Madison is in the same position as East Washington or Capitol East, where there's a lot of development going on and going on a lot faster than most would expect. But if you look at South Madison to kind of get yourself orientated, you can kind of see, you know, some of the amenities that are there. In our complex, we have the Urban League, you've got the library, and eventually you'll have our Black Business Hub there. You've got a cultural center of excellence that's developing, you know, on and expected to be around in 2023 with Alex G. and the Fountain of Life Church. But the South Madison plan that the city, you know, put together, they envision that South Madison is going to change and that they will improve the entry point into South Madison so that it's more welcoming and so that it is like other places like California, New York, where you celebrate, you know, ethnic areas, and that's in the city. Madison College took the first leap to investing in South Madison, and I often say that they were not, you know, running away from the fire, but running towards the fire where there is tremendous need. So as you look in the State Journal, it says that South Madison is fastly becoming gentrified, but with that happening, there's a lot of displacement, you know, with families that once could afford to be homeowners there and could afford to be in this neighborhood, that is going away. And so we know that Wisconsin and Madison faces some of the worst home ownership disparities in the nation. And we build our wealth, intergenerational wealth, primarily through our home ownership. And so nationally, 46% of African Americans are homeowners. In this state, 26% are homeowners, and that's the third worst in the nation. But in Dane County, it's 10%. So we are way at the bottom in terms of African American home ownership. And the one thing that we know is that in places like South Madison, while the city planners are putting their plans together, developers are buying up land and they're outpacing these planners. And so developers are buying properties and putting up buildings, and it's driving the cost up, $2,000 and $3,000 a month rent. And so what happens to the existing population there? What happens to the businesses there? So rather than sit on the sideline and not do anything, the Urban League says if we can't bet on Black businesses or BIPOC businesses in this city, who can? If we're not going to step up and say, let us help create a vision for South Madison that incorporates, you know, an African American perspective, who will? And so many community leaders stood up with us. You have Tag Evers, the alder from South Madison, Sherry Carter, the other alder from South Madison, Camille Carter, the president of the Black Chamber, and our mayor of the city of Madison, and Clark Gilmore, head of the Community Development Authority, all, joined in with us to talk about, how we can cause a renaissance of economic activity to happen in South Madison. I talked about Madison College leading the way, and then I talked about the Center of Black Excellence with Alex G. Our Black Business Hub will create this economic anchor for South Madison. Mount Zion Baptist Church is building a family life center. Brandon Rule is building affordable housing and a Luna's grocery store. And then Killeen Care has one city. So we're really trying to turn this area into a positive economic activity place for all businesses. So in our plan, we have a Black Business Hub Accelerator where we're looking to kind of cause an entrepreneurial ecosystem to develop where we can help businesses at the startup level, existing businesses, businesses that want to expand, to find a place where they can actually have a place that they can come to in Madison and be proud that is there for them. In that space, we expect to have help with a capital programming, where we can help with business planning grants, business expansion grants, and partially forgivable loans. We expect that to provide technical assistance through providing classes and education. A lot of times they talk about small and minority-owned businesses saying that they're good at their craft, but they don't spend a lot of time working on their business. They work in their business and they're outstanding, but doing the bookkeeping and everything and knowing how to put marketing plans together and all that stuff, we may lack those, but we're going to provide those things. Thus far, with the Business Hub Accelerator, we raised $1.2 million. And so we have made progress and we're ready to go with this. Small businesses need a place that they can convene. They need peer support, peer networks, and they need to have folks that really trust in them and are going to help them succeed. And that's what we want to plan with our Black Business Hub. Here's a rendition of what it looks like. We want it to be a regional destination led by BIPOC entrepreneurs, and we put this ecosystem together so that it thrives, not just for today, but it's a long-lasting legacy. And so this beautiful space will be on Park Street and Hughes Street. You can see the golden arches there if you know Park Street to kind of get orientated. But we expect this to really, really be a great resource for the community. Just to give you some ideas of size and dimension, it's expected to be around 76,000 square feet. We're going to have 4 floors in there. And one of the good things about this project is that we're going to anchor it with a couple of government anchor tenants who will sign long-term leases so that we can give lower rents to those businesses that are there, because we need a plan for sustainability. We need to make sure that this can go on for a long time. There's the possibility that a few financial institutions, maybe a bank or a credit union, will locate on the first floor. WIBIC is likely to locate on our 2nd floor, and so is the Black Chamber. And then we have a bunch of space. We got about 4,000 square feet of retail space. There'll be food, personal services, co-working spaces on the 2nd floor, where they'll go from cube to full office. We'll have a big atrium where we'll have pop-up, opportunities for businesses. A lot of times businesses can't afford to pay the overhead, but we're going to have an opportunity for those businesses to have low overhead. We're looking to put a commercial kitchen in there where those feed trucks that are popping up all over our region now can have a place for safe storage with freezer space and also use of kitchen. We're looking to have event and meeting space, and then to have small business agencies be there, a place where the Small Business Administration can come and help these businesses and other organizations that support businesses. This is a clear picture of what the hub looks like. It's a beautiful picture. It plays on, the architects use this technique called the Black aesthetic, where it takes advantage of the indoor and outdoor spaces and making that connectivity. In the African American community, growing up, like in New York, we used our front space quite a bit. We called it the stoop. And we spent time talking on the stoop and hanging out on the stoop. In the South, my grandmother spent time with me talking on the porch in the front, on the porch. And if you go to Milwaukee or Chicago on the holidays, you'll see people grill in the front of their houses. This design with the overhead takes advantage of the fact that we want that indoor-outdoor connection in the way that African Americans really communicate with each other. There'll be opportunities for farmers market on the outdoor and other pop-up vending and trucks and things like that too. So we want this to be not just an economic incubator for this village on the mall, but for Dane County and the region in general. This is a depiction from JL Architects about what it should look like on the inside. You can kind of see we have the pop-up businesses along the side of the window. On the second floor, we have actually, that's where the co-working spaces will be, and some of the support spaces like WIBIC, the Black Chamber. You'll see other spaces here for the different businesses. We expect to have a corner soul food Caribbean restaurant down here. That's going to cater to the Sunday after church business, where there's a big business in the Black community where after, we get sent through a long Baptist sermon, we want to eat. And so this is going to be that place where we can come. But then all these other businesses are here, as well. We're going to have one anchor tenant on this first floor that generates like 70 to 100 visits, per hour at their peak. So that should fuel those businesses. This is a better look. You can kind of see the inside outside connection here, where there'll be vending on the outside. There is an opportunity. There'll be outside. There'll be outdoor seating for the restaurant. I should have shown that on the other slide, but then you can kind of see these pop-up vending similar to what you might see in an airport. And you can see the visual connection from the first and second floor. And these are the areas that we're really highlighting as the African American hub. So I don't know what you think, but these are, to me, beautiful spaces. This whole notion of bringing African American businesses together to lift each other up, by their bootstraps and to cause this economic multiplier effect kind of was gleaned from the Sherman Phoenix project in Milwaukee. At the Sherman Phoenix project, there was a BMO Harris Bank that got burned down. Joanna Sabir and others decided to, rebuild that bank and then turn it into this type of hub. So we got that idea from there. And so we're going to do a little bit differently here in Madison. So let me talk about a couple of things. So what will a Renaissance accomplish? We will create a regional destination that will be an inclusive economy. It will be catalyzed by BIPOC-led development. It will anchor the Southern Gateway into Madison. We want people to be proud when they get off the Beltline and come into Madison, and it to be branded, as an African American, an ethnic enclave that we can show people when Destination Madison and others, highlight the city, that they highlight this. It'll be a place where we can incubate and accelerate Black and other businesses, and it will also be a place where we can retain, develop, and attract talent, because quite a bit of times you heard in Secretary Polkachek's presentation that we have brain drain where people leave because they don't feel like they can make it here, and so we got to make sure that we're doing better. So we expect to have 100+ Black businesses launch and expand, from this place with funding, and then we expect that permanently over time there'll be 150 jobs created in South Madison. And then we expect that while the construction's going on, there's a 30% minority goal, and we're going to create about 200 temporary jobs. And then we expect to develop 10 or more Black and female developers. We've got one that just finished the anchor program in Milwaukee. We've got a couple that are actually following us on this project and being mentors. So it is a lot, to contend with. Right now, we've gone through the community engagement. We selected a site. We just got our design through, the final design through the Urban Design Commission. Now we've got to get through zoning. This summer, right now, we're doing fundraising between the summer and fall. We're looking for a $20 million new market tax credit, deal. We got 5 considerations, on the table. So we feel pretty good about that. We expect our groundbreaking to be in sometime in October or November of this year. And then the grand opening should be fall of 2022. Now, how can you help? You know, we're fundraising, we need money. You know, we need to fill a $5 million gap in our new market tax credit, you know, capital stack. In-kind support, you know, for our construction, we need fixtures, furniture, and equipment. Again, we need leveraged lenders and investors for our new market tax credit. I saw Park Bank on here. You know, you could be helpful that way. We need to donate and have partners in our accelerator project. One member of the community saw this, and she took $50,000 from her a donation or inheritance that was left to her, and she raised $250,000 on that. We need more of that. And then we need you to refer prospective tenants if you have it. So that's all I have. And I'll stop here and take questions, but thank you for giving me a chance to present. I moved kind of fast because I wanted to save time for the last presenter.
And hopefully you can stick around for a few minutes in case there's questions at the end as well. But before we move on to Abigail Darwin, do we have any questions for Dr. Anthony? Okay, Abigail, I'll let you share your screen, and while you're getting ready with that, I'll tell everybody a little bit about you. Abigail Darwin is the Administrative and Customer Support Practice Group Director for Robert Half right here in the fabulous Middleton. She has been with Robert Half for a little over 5 years. She specializes in helping businesses with their administrative, customer support, and HR staffing needs. And she also helps individuals with these backgrounds who are in between jobs and looking for their next career move to find employment. With over 60 years of staffing experience, Robert Half is the world's largest and oldest specialized staffing firm and a recognized leader in professional staffing and consulting services. Turning it over to you, Abigail.
Great. Hi, everybody. It is my genuine pleasure to be with all of you today. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend. I'm going to be talking today about current trends in the labor market and some of the challenges you are all no doubt facing in today's economy as we start to head out of the pandemic. Knock on wood as I say that, of course. I will provide some insights today into some current trends and hopefully present some innovative ideas to help you navigate the current labor market and make the best possible hires for your organization during these very changing and challenging times. Now, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic turned everything upside down in ways that are still present today in 2021. People are still working from home and managers continue to hire and onboard new employees remotely. But this is expected to change as a shift to hybrid work, as a shift to a hybrid workplace combining both remote work with on-site work is beginning to take hold. Before the outbreak, the unemployment rate was at a near historic low of 3.5%. And then as of May 2020, it was approximately 3 times higher at 13.3%. But things are looking up. The unemployment rate in July was at 5.4% nationally. And in Wisconsin and the Madison metro area in June, we are below the national rate at 3.9% and 3.6% respectively. Now, when it comes to hiring, employers are approaching the second half of 2021 with 3 key concerns. Almost 1/4 see finding candidates with the right skills as the top hurdle. Nearly 1 out of 5 want to hire fast enough to get the most talented candidates. And about 16% have a top concern of finding people who are a good fit with the company's workplace culture. With the number of job openings increasing, candidates looking for a job won't wait around for the perfect job. And many today are open to full-time contracting. About 3 in 5 job applicants lose interest in a job if they don't hear back within 2 weeks of the initial interview. About half of all job candidates will disappear or not respond to a potential employer if they feel strung along. And about 40% of job seekers want to pursue contracting as a career. Now, with this frame of mind, employers are showing signs of expanding hiring and retention plans in the second half of 2021. About half of business leaders plan to add new full-time permanent positions. About half will still recruit for vacated spots or bring back furloughed staff. And about half are prepared to offer hiring bonuses to attract new employees. In the third and fourth quarter of this year, hiring is expected to ramp up in multiple industries, many of which were unable to conduct on-site operations during the pandemic, including finance, manufacturing, technology, construction, and transportation. Managers have substantially changed their hiring strategies since the beginning of 2021 to increase the probability of finding the best possible candidates. Approximately half of all employers now are conducting remote interviews and onboarding. About 40% are posting openings on diversity-focused sites and online networks. About 40% have expanded candidate searches geographically. About 38% have increased the use of temporary or contract professionals. About 36% have shortened their hiring process. And about 32% are advertising fully remote positions. And now with the next series of slides, we're going to take a look at some of the jobs that are in high demand in different fields. And we're going to take a look at about a half dozen different fields with very low unemployment rates. And what this means is that almost everybody who's capable of doing the jobs that we're about to talk about are doing it. Free floaters are scarce, and as you all know, a basic rule of economics is that scarcity means value. Employees in these fields are aware that this is a workers' market for these jobs. And so employers in these areas are going to have a hard time finding these type of employees and also hanging on to these type of employees if they already have them. And of course, the employees in these fields know that they've got value and they know that they're worth kind of a lot of money. So the first area that we're going to talk about is finance. Before I get too far into it, though, let me just say that with respect to finance, like the other half dozen or so high demand fields that we're going to be talking about today, I will be discussing different trends relating to hiring and employee turnover. These trends hold true, though, across all the high demand fields that we're going to be discussing today. So I'm going to discuss the trends with regard to finance, but I'm going to just breeze over them with regard to the other fields because the trends are all similar. So I'm presenting you all with copies of the slides. So if you feel like you want to look more in depth at the percentages, the exact percentages, you do have copies of the slides and you can do that. Now, in finance, the following positions have unemployment rates that are much lower than the national rate of unemployment. In this particular sector, finance and accounting, the following particular positions are very, very high in demand, very much in demand. Loan officers, compliance officers, financial analysts, accountants and auditors, financial managers, billing clerks and bookkeepers. These are very difficult to recruit. Finance companies are looking for people who are well-rounded with functional expertise and strong soft skills. While COVID-19 slowed hiring in the second half of 2020, many businesses are now ramping up hiring of both remote and on-site workers. CFOs in the US are ready to start growing their teams. Over half plan on hiring for new or vacated roles during the second half of the year. A little less than half are only going to be hiring for vacated roles or bringing back furloughed staff. But again, over half are going to be bringing on new roles. Over 3/4 are going to be hiring contract workers. So it's a good time to be in temporary staffing right now. To increase their talent pool and hire candidates with the best possible skills, employers are changing their approach. About 3 in 5 will start by searching for candidates locally, but if they can't find the right skills locally, they will be broadening their search to find qualified candidates geographically. About half of all employers are offering signing bonuses right now for new employees to attract in-demand talent. And about 3/4 say turnover has increased since the beginning of 2021, due largely to employees' concerns about job security or career growth opportunities. Finance professionals, again, as is the case with professionals in all the other high demand fields we're going to be discussing, are looking for new opportunities, excuse me. And that's mainly because about 1 in 3 are seeking higher earnings, and about half are looking for a full-time consulting or project-based career or fully remote work. The next profession we'll look at that is very high demand is administrative and customer support. The most sought after jobs in this particular field are flexible and talented executive assistants, followed by office and administrative support supervisors. Other positions in demand are call center representatives, customer service managers and specialists, HR benefits specialists and coordinators, HR recruiters, and receptionists. And I'm going to skip ahead here. Now we're going to turn our attention to the jobs that are in high demand in technology. Now again, these unemployment rates are a lot lower than the national rate. Database administrators and architects top the list. Other professionals in high demand include software developers, computer and information systems managers, systems analysts, web developers, information security analysts, and more. Today's world continues to depend on strong digital engagement to drive positive business outcomes. Hiring for experts in marketing and communications is on the rise as companies and brands strive to maintain their competitive edge by offering targeted content and exceptional user experiences. Advertising managers, technical writers, and web developers are particularly sought after. Marketing research analysts and other specialists are also in demand. Legal services were considered essential during the pandemic, and the outlook for skilled professionals in this domain remains positive for many positions. In this arena, opportunities are most plentiful for attorneys and lawyers of all types, along with paralegals or legal assistants and specialists in multiple areas, including compliance, contracts, data privacy, legal secretaries, litigation, and discovery. Healthcare is always essential and continues to be so, even as the pandemic eases up. The need for skilled professionals in this domain continues to increase as we approach the second half of 2021. Opportunities in healthcare administration are on the rise, particularly for roles like medical executive assistants, health insurance claims analysts and clerks, and medical records specialists. Hiring managers are changing their approach to recruiting and selecting candidates in the second half of 2021, in part because they are realizing that hiring the wrong person for a job can lead to very poor outcomes. About 3/4 admit that they could have done a better job assessing a job seeker's suitability for a role. And nearly 2/3 say that the negative impact of this is even more severe than it was a year ago. A bad hire can affect teams and the organization as a whole in multiple ways, namely in terms of time wasted on hiring and training, decreased morale and productivity, and increased stress on management. The time lost on hiring mistakes can be substantial. It can take 10 weeks to terminate a bad hire and up to 6 weeks to hire someone new. So that's about 4 months, or nearly 1/3 of a year, before you can get back to where you were before you made your hiring mistake in the first place. Flexibility is important to people who have been accustomed to working remotely, and managers are striving to provide it as the workplace adjusts to a hybrid model. Most employees are prepared to accept a hybrid workplace scenario, with some time spent at the office and some spent working remotely. Here's how employees prefer to work. About half would like to see a hybrid of remote and in office. About 1/4 would like to work fully remote. and another quarter would like to work fully in the office. To transition to a hybrid workplace with more time spent in the office, employees would like to see the following changes: the freedom to set their own office hours, a personal distraction-free environment, commuting costs that are paid by the employer, a more relaxed dress code, and employer-subsidized childcare. Enlightened employers are sensitive to the challenges to their workforce brought on by the pandemic and are aiming to ease the transition back to the office in a way that attracts new employees and retains their highly valued existing workers. Now, interestingly, 71% of employers said that they want their employees back in the office full time. You'll remember, though, from our prior slide that nearly half of all employees want to work remotely at least part of the time, and about a quarter want to do it all the time. So there will no doubt have to be some compromise and some give and take between employees and employers. And here are 6 ways companies are planning to support workers: flexible work schedules, including flex time or a compressed work week, increased employee engagement, monitoring and managing workloads, building and sustaining team morale, access to well-being resources, and investments in employee collaboration tools. A significant fallout of the pandemic is that 38% of workers believe their career growth was stalled. For Gen Z employees, that number jumps to 2/3. April saw the highest number of voluntary quits in recorded history, and roughly 1 in 3 employees say they are prepared to seek new employment in the coming months, primarily in order to get a salary increase or improve career advancement. In what ways have employees' careers taken a hit? Well, a little more than half cite lack of salary growth. A little less than half say career advancement and professional network growth have stagnated. And about 44% indicate that they have not had an opportunity to sharpen or broaden their skill sets. Enlightened employers genuinely want to help their workers succeed. They recommend that aspiring leaders strengthen or acquire the following important skills: strategic and critical thinking, technical abilities, planning and organization, communication, creativity, and adaptability. It has been my genuine pleasure to be with you today, and I thank you all again for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me. If you have any questions about today's slides, I can answer them today, but if you also want to reach out at a separate time, you have my contact information here, my email, as well as my direct phone number, so feel free to reach out anytime. I'm always happy to help. Thank you again.
All right, I know that we are right at 2 o'clock. Are there any questions for our speakers? Okay, just wanted to once again thank everybody for attending, thank our panel for all of the great information on workforce in our community, and thank our sponsors, Assemblage Architects, Artist REIT, and Floors for Less. And any other events that you want to find out what's going on, go to middletonchamber.com. Thanks so much, everybody.